गुरुभ्यो नमः। वडविटपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेद दक्षं नमामि. नमस्कार.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to our 41st Saturday online Kashmir Cultural Heritage Awareness Series. We have with us today Sri Sanjay, Raina, and the topic is Kashmir Shakta Vimarsha, which is grand legacy of the Kashmiri Pandit tradition. As always, we thank Sri Kanchi Mutt for our ongoing series. Offer our namaskarams to His Holiness Sri Shankara Vijayendra Saraswati Swamigal. Kanchi Mutt has always been in the forefront, modestly working with the sole aim of national integration, spiritual enlightenment, and promoting the uniqueness of Kashmir, as Kashmir is our cultural heritage. We are very pleased to welcome and introduce Sri Sanjay Raina. Sri Sanjay Raina is a renowned scholar on tradition and practice of Kashmiri Pandit ritual structure. He is a keen researcher of Kashmir Trik Parampara. Sri Sanjay ji is so humble that in most of the intros about him, all I could hear him say is, "Main sarva sadharan aadmi hu." I have heard many of his videos on Shiv Chaturdashi, Mahashivaratri special, Kashmiri Shakta Vimarsha, and I could hear his prayers that are so divine, linking with our past traditions. I am so pleased to welcome you, Sri Sanjay Raina, and request you to say a few words, as you never mentioned anything about your background and your connection with the past traditions. Please.
तद्देवता विभवाव महामरीचे चक्रेश्वरा यत निजं चित्रेक एव देवे सतो गणपते सुहृदेन्दुकान्तिं सम्ये समूचलयता मम संविदब्ध विश्वात्मिकां तत् उत्तीर्णं हृदयं परमेश्वतो परादिशक्तिरूपेण सुपुरन्तीं संविदं नमामि सद्गुरुं शान्तं प्रतीक्षं शिवरूपिणं शरसा योगपीठस्थं धर्मकामार्थसिद्धये. Shankarji, as you said, I am most ordinary man trying to be a sadhaka, but I am fortunate that I am linked to a tradition. Not I, but my father, but my grandfather, my grandmother. We are linked to a Trik Parampara. The man, the Shiva incarnation, Swami Ram, with whose efforts and with whose divine power, Kashmir, we could revive Kashmir Shaiva Darshan in the entire world. There is a Parampara, Shishuguru Parampara, disciple Guru Parampara, and I am linked to that. I am fourth generation disciple of that order. That is precisely my introduction. Besides that, I'm an engineer by profession. I love Indianness, Indian culture, and Kashmir. Its past, it is a blossoming flower, a lotus, blossoming lotus of Indianness, Indian culture. It's nothing special. Kashmir is a part of overall a vast Sanatan ocean, and I try to. Even drop is a big thing. Just I want to have Amrit of that, a dropful Amrit of that ocean. I'm trying. This is precisely my introduction.
No, that's wonderful. Yeah, actually, you are given introduction somewhat more than what you would have said in other online series that I have seen. This is really great. As always, you are so humble. And if you could enlighten us on today's topic, as most of us in the south wouldn't have heard about this, although I've explained that it's Kashmiri Vedic traditions that you would be talking about today.
I'm very much thankful to you that you have chosen a very good topic for today's discussion. It's Kashmir Shakta Vimarsha. And there's no exaggeration in it that Kashmir is our valuably Shakta. We belong to mother cult. We are our valuably Shakti. There's a saying about Kashmiris that is Antro Shakto Bahishwa Sabha Made Vaishnava. By heart, we are worshippers of Mother Goddess. By expression, we are Shaivites. And wherever we are in any congregation, there we behave as civilized. This is what Agam Shastras say about Kashmiris in general. It's not that today, it's so imbibed in our blood. You see, I don't know how much interaction you are having with the soil of Kashmir, Kashmiri people. Once any Kashmiri is in trouble, whether he is 80 years old or 90 years old or 9 years old, automatically, spontaneously, whenever he is in any kind of trouble, he shouts, "Oh Ma!" In Kashmiri, we call mother as Moji. Moji. If 80 or 90-year-old man, he is having some pain, he shouts and calls his mother, "Oh mother, come to my rescue, Moji." So it's irrespective of this, whether they are still continuing with the Hindu faith or they are Muslims by now. Reasons known to you. It's all forcible conversion. So in our genes, genetically, genes can never be changed. So it's truth with Kashmiri Hindus as well as Kashmiri Muslims or anybody else. One thing is there, genetically we are having the same gene pool, we are having the same ethnicity. But one thing is there, for reasons people are just at war with their own roots. The reasons better known to them. There are people who want to distort history, distort their culture, distort their own scriptures, disown their own forefathers. And it's an irony. Everybody knows how they were converted. And there's nothing concealed now. Books, documents, thousands of research papers are available that it was forcible. It was forcible conversion. Settle I have seen, yes, there are people who have gone to this extent that they they talk trash and nonsense that Kashmir Shaivism paved way for the smooth transition of Islam in Kashmir. How much simpleton these intellectuals are. They are the basic tenets of Islam are no match to Shaiv or Shafkal. What camouflaging they are doing, what interest they are having, and why are they doing so? It's shameful. It is shameful. Knowledge never. It's knowledge never tolerates such contradictions and such myths and such brazen lies. It's an biggest insult for an intellectual to distort things to his taste. And I have seen people. There was a great saintist, Shaiv scholar, Halalishwari, because I have seen yesterday. I was just watching the speaker list, and I have seen you have done some program on Lalishwari as well. People say
Yes,
that
yes.
she paved way for the smooth transition of this Islam and all that. Let me tell those people through you that Lalishwari is a philosopher saint. Most probably a saintist of his caliber, we are not having anywhere in any part of the world, at least from last 500 years. She is such a superb philosopher. And understanding lal without having the complete knowledge of Trikadarshana, Shaiva Kashmir Shaiva Darshana, it's not possible. It's not possible. By just doing here and there some interpolations and then attributing those to Lala, it's a brazen lie, it's a pop, it's a sin. And now in changing times, people can never afford to do it. They'll be exposed. They'll be exposed beyond limit. Lala is a spiritualist, she's a philosopher, she's a Shaivi. You should have complete full knowledge of Trikadarshana and its structure, its basic tenets. Islam never gets fit in any tradition, whether it is Shah, Vaishnav. I am not having any problem with Islam, but the people who say that it paved way for Islam, no, Islam is entirely different thing. Spirituality is something different and their basic tenets are different. There is no match to it. It was all forcible. Go and read Tafatul Ahbad, Baristani Shahi, Tariq Hassan, Raj Tarangi by Jona Raja, Srivara, Shuka, Prajabhata. You cannot be selective. While reading Rajtangni, you just propose Kalahana. Kalahana, it's a continuity. Rajtangni is a continuity. So it was just a reference to it. We are overwhelmingly shocked. And there are records, there are proofs, there are documentary evidences for it. You see, once we go through the dialogue between Janamajaya and Vaishampayan after the end of Mahabharata war. Puranas, what we have been made to believe by these British authors and all that, they made us to believe that Puranas are just myth, it's part of mythology, it has nothing to do with reality. While as it is a brazen lie. Puranas are the sources of history. History is not so young. It's not 200 or 300 years old, maybe. See the monuments which are thousands of years old. These monuments were not built in a jiffy. It was not built in a minute. Civilizations are not built in a minute, in just a second. So if we go through the Puranas, and that too particularly Nilmak Purana, therein we find a dialogue between Vaishampayan and Janamejaya. Vaishampayan was a disciple of Vyasa, and Janamejaya, as you know, he was son of Parikshita. He asks him a pertinent question. What is the reason that all the kings, nobody, no king in this Jambudipa in Bharatvarsha remained unaligned? Every king either acceded to the domain of Pandavas or to Kauravas. There was one exception, that the king of Kashmir was absent. And Janmejaya asks this pertinent question to Bashambai. What is the reason that king of Kashmir was absent? And he replied and said that since Kashmir was without a king, the king of Kashmir was beheaded by Balram and Krishna, by Lord Krishna in Krishna Sayamvara. Because, and that's another tale. So there was no king. It was a kingless state at that time. So nobody participated from Kashmir. And as you know, after the Mahabharata war was over, Lord Krishna took it on its own shoulders to install kings in the territories and states and the provinces where the kings were either beheaded or kings lost or kings were killed, or the territories which were without the king. So he came to Kashmir along with Pandavas, and there he installed Yashomati as the queen of Kashmir. At that time, the priests who were at the helm of affairs in kingdom, they raised a question that a widow can never be seated on the throne. And there is a pertinent shloka uttered by Krishna, Lord Krishna, Narayana himself. See, this is Sati Desha. It is the country, it is the state, the province of Sati. So the presiding deity of this part of land is Sati, Uma. Here, woman is supreme. So the normal laws are not applicable here. It is there we find a mention that in Kashmir, it is called Kashmir is overwhelmingly shocked. And then he narrates a story that it's only Mother Goddess who was in shape of a sea, Satisara. Up to sixth Manmantra, and there's another tale that up to sixth Manmantra, as you know, this is the seventh Manmantra, running Vyavasvat Manmantra. Up to sixth Manmantra, this whole Kashmir was submerged in water. And it is Kashyapa and his tapasya that he invoked Mother Goddess in tapasya. And he requested her, he got a boon from her that water will be drained out of this. And it's near Baramulla, a wedge was created and water came out. This fact is established by modern scientists that yes, there are all signs that this land was submerged underwater. Then legend goes, it's not legend, I should say, it is history, it is truth. Maybe thousands of years ago. As you know, there was a demon who had just concealed himself in underwater, submerged water, Jalud Baba. He was anti-humanity. He was anti-life, anti-human. So in order to create a human habitation there, his annihilation was very important. So Kashyapa again invoked Mother Goddess. Oh, Mother Goddess, this Jalod Baba is not allowing me to create the human habitation in this beautiful part of land. So mother came into shape of a bird, Hari. She took a pebble in her beak and put that pebble over that Jalod Baba, and he was crushed under that bamboo. You see now, we Kashmiri Hindus still believe that, not believe, we have every reason, because from thousands of years we are worshipping that place where that pebble was fallen, or that Jalota Baba, that is Chakreshwara, Srinagar. It came in the shape of a hill. You see the religious significance of that place. Nowhere on the or this earth you will find Swayambhu Sri Chakra. It's engraved on this Chakreshwara. Chakra means Sri Chakra. And from thousands of years we are worshipping this Sri Chakra. Swayambhu means Swayambhu, you understand. It's not manually, it has not been manually engraved by anybody, any sculptor. It is there naturally. A natural Sri Chakra. I don't know whether you people have seen it. Hari Parvat, Chakreshwar. As on date, there is a Swayambhu, natural Sri Chakra engraved on the stone. Bije Saptabir Ujvalah Kratraso Ya Sapta Sapta Duti Sapta Rishi Penitagra Pankaj Yuga Ya Sapta Lokahata Kashmire Paraureshu Madhyanagre Pradyumna Pite Tata Deve Saptak Samyutah Bhagavati Shri Sharika Patu. This is the Jnanam of this Sharika Bhagavati Chakreshwari. In this Jnanam, it's written that this Chakreshwara, this place is situated in the middle of Kashmir. Kashmire Praureshu Madhyanagre. And it is Pradyumna Pitha. Pradyumna Pitha is the highest energy center. Kashmiri Pandits, after migration, after our exodus, every Kashmiri Pandit would make at least a 40-day parikrama around it. And many Kashmiri Pandits were daily going and having parikrama. We are having a specific puja for this Chakreshwara. And Srinagar, city of Srinagar, owes its name to this Sri Chakra. Sharika is the Chakra Swamini, the goddess, the presiding goddess of Sri Chakra. It is the Pradyumna Pitha. And in our Shakti Vimarsha, we are having a specific puja of, as you know, because in South you people are quite well versed with the Sri Chakra Yantra. It's a tantric yantra. It's triangles, it is central bindu, it's upward triangles, it is downward triangles, it is 8 petal lotuses and outer lines. We are having a particular syllabus, and that's called the Chakra Swamini Puja. Every line, every triangle, every bindu, every upward triangle, every downward triangle, we are having specific mantras for that. And that puja is known as Chakra Swamini Puja. And we are performing it, even as on date during Navaratras, we are making Abhisheka, Pushparchana with those names. You see, the predominant thought, which is now universally accepted, that Trika Vichar, Kashmir Shaiva Darshan. You see, it's overwhelmingly dominated by the Shakta thought. No show Shakti Rahata. These are the Shiva Agamas declaring that Shiva can never exist without energy, Shakti. Yeah, if you see, I don't know whether you are having any knowledge of that system, Kashmir Shaiva system. We are having the basic, as Sankhya is confined to 25 basic elements. In Kashmir Shaiva order, we are having Sashtigama. Our thought about the evolution, it is 36. It is based on 36 elements. Shatram Shat Tatu. from Prithvi Tattva to Paramashiv Tattva. That's the ultimate realization. And it is only second Tattva, which is Shakti Tattva. Naumi Chat Pratibam Devim Param Bhairav Yogni Matravana Prameyam Shoshulam Bhaskataspad. Naumi Devim Sharirastam Nityato Bhairavahkate Pravagne Made Ganyo Vidut Lekha Vilasni. These are the shlokas of Tantra Loka, wherein in this Trikamarga, Shaiva is matter and energy is Shakti. Matter can never exist without energy. If Shiva has to create anything, it is only through the element of energy he creates. This is precise the Trika thought, the Shaiva thought. Then let's come again to Kashmir. We are overwhelmingly shocked in every town, in every village, in every, I should say, city. We are having Ishta Devis, we are having Shakt centers, we are having Bala, we are having Jala, we are having Ragina, we are having Sharika, we are having Badrakali, we are having Bargashika, what not? There is a superior Granth, philosophical Granth, based on the invocation of this Kundalini Jagran. That's because I don't know whether you whether you know about something about that Granth, because what is the reason I don't know, but it's a superb Granth, Panchastavi by Dharmaraja. It is so full of secrets and a superb Granth, superb doctrine, superb document attributed to Mother Goddess and her worship. And we are not, I think we are, due to the paucity of time, we cannot dwell in at length about that Grantha. That is the most superior Granth, though it is part of Shaiva order, but it is attributed to Shakt. It is overwhelmingly Shakt. Hantum tamevu pausi tatatinamishe sansara tapam eklam daya pushona vaitarkari kirna samatrev shakta dharmam nijam shamyutam nijevishta. Oh, Mother Goddess, it is you which is giving us the scorching heat of sun, but it's you which cools down us with your Amrit rains. And it is full of with Bija mantras. It is full of with how you can just Kundalini Jagran, the 5 stages, the 6 stages, chakras. It's having full explanation about Kundalini. Then there's another ancient Granth, Devi Nanglas of Sahib ko. Yeah, Shakti Rahas, Kashmir Shakti Vimarsha. Even in most of the Shaivi literatures, you will find mention of Mother Goddess, that too in high esteem. So to say, the tallest of tall, the philosopher of the millennium, the saint of higher order, Mahamahesharacharya Abhinav Gupta. You see, his Kramana Stotra, Dwadashkali, Nirmana Moha Zanta Sanga Dosha, Ikolar Navananda Ganor Mirupa Unimesh Mesho. So he has distributed time into 12 Kalis. It's also a Shakti worship. It is a Shakti Vimarsha. So there is no paucity of literature so far as Shakti is concerned. Sahasranam, as you are, in entire India, you are having Lalita Sahasranam. Same way in Kashmir, there's a powerful Sahasranam, Bhavani Sahasranam. Though we find almost 100 repetitions, 100 same names of Lalita Sahasranam are repeated in our Bhavani Sahasranam. And it is part of a big Granth, which is much bigger than Devinambilas. And Devinambilas is part of a big Tantra, Rudrayamal Tantra. Tantra literature, which is as old as Vedic literature is, there is ample mention of Shakta. We are having normal practice among the Sanatanis is that we are having Kula Devatas. But in Kashmir, you will find that every Hindu is divided into two. Either he is having Kuladevi as Ragina or Sharik or Jwala. In ancient times, we were having three Kuladevis. And Isht, we are having numerous Isht Devis: Jala, Shiva, Sharika, Bala, Ragina, Vargashika. So, this is the basis that entire Kashmir is overwhelmingly Shakt. And Shakt and Kashmiri Hindu, irrespective of it, whether he is, now we are Brahmins, otherwise in totality, I just earlier told you that even Muslims of today, who were Hindus of yesterday, they too are genetically, this is mother qualities in their genes. They cannot brush this reality aside. We cannot brush this. We are overwhelmingly, Kashmiris are overwhelmingly Shakti. We are devoted to Mother Goddess. In our prayers, Leela Rabda Stapit Dukta Loka, Loka Detir, Yoga Virintar, Hadamavyam, Bala Deti, Shrena Samana, Dati Pancham, Gauri Mamba Mambarakshi. It's not only that, we have contributed a lot to the Shakt literature. See, K.S. Nagaraja says, if the contribution of Kashmir to Shakt literature is omitted, then there remains nothing. We have lucid works on Devi Mahatmaya. And in Tantras, we are having numerous Tantric practices. In our daily rituals, no ritual of Kashmiri Pandits is complete unless and until we do Matrika Puja, Sakti Matrika Puja. And it is being done solely by women folk. They are providing aragya, they are pouring padi, they are pouring pushpam, tilakam. That is women specific puja. Even if so you were just earlier telling me about Yagnopavit. Each and every Kashmiri Pandit, as on date, I say, our children, we ourselves, we can never remain with this without this sacred thread. We are wearing it, and we are nurturing a feeling that it is giving us immense strength. Mother Gayatri is with us. Traditionally, we feel it. And while doing this ceremony, we in our shant, which is again prayer to this performance of this Brahma Yajna, there's one shant which is known in Kashmiri local language as Devgun, invocation of Devatas. First of all, we do Matrika Puja. This Hararatri, In that, we do Matrika Puja in shape of Sanyavari. I don't know whether if you have seen my video on Shivratri, you must understand that. Yogini Puja. In our mantras, Naveda mantra, yajnas, while we are performing any day of yajna, we do Kalsha Puja, and Kalsha Puja is predominantly it is Gayatri, Mahalakshmi, Saraswati. We are having big monuments as on date. Say this Shavar Peet, this Chakreshwar, Swayambhu Chakreshwar, the biggest monument. Ragini Peet. And there is mention in scripture that Shama, which was the Kuladevi of Ravana, after getting tired of Tamoguna from Ravana by his deeds, she ordered Hanuman, "Hey Hanumanji, please take me out of it and please take me to my abode," which is again a certification that her abode is Kashmir. It is Uma Desha, it is Sati Desha. Ye Devi Uma Saev Kashmira. जो कश्मीरा है वही उमा है, ये नीलमुत पुराण में लिखा है. So in Vyavahara, in practice, we are Shakti in our religious practices, in our social practices. You see, there is a big monument of Kali in Srinagar, over which as on today there is a mosque, Shahimdan Mosque. But on the bank of river Gatasta, we are having a Kali temple, just is engraved on a stone, and they allow us to worship there. We are having a big monument of Bargashikha. We are having a big monumental temple of Jwala, Uma, Shiva Bhagavati. So this is separate throughout the length and breadth of Kashmir. Besides Shiva temples, you will see these Shakta centers, Pradyumna peeths, everywhere in Kashmir. Shankarji, any question?
Thank you, sir, for listing the traditions. Now, I have only one question. What happened during the Exodus time? All got moved out of Srinagar, separated from the families and the traditions. How are these practiced now? Do you have padashalas available where people can go and learn, like we have in South India? In the rest of India, you can see padashalas, like you mentioned about Gurukul and all, Guru Parampara, all that. How do they do in Kashmir now? This is what part of the revival now process?
Sir, it's very much important. It is, our total annihilation was ensured by these Islamic zealots. They have thrown us out, lock, stock and barrel. Now, from last 30 years, we are just striving for survival. We are stateless people, we are homeless people, we are jobless people. And in such circumstances, it's quite impossible for any community to continue its traditions, its religious practices, its ritual structure, its social order. But with the grace of this Mother Goddess, we have just tried to live against these odds. But exodus is a reality. What should have been done by our state, by our country? They should have ensured our one place settlement. It's very, very important that one place habitation should be there when culture flourishes or renaissance takes place. Once you are economically shattered, socially shattered, you are killed, you are thrown out of your home. A continuation of culture, ritual structure, it's only possible once you are in a comfort state. So as you know, we were living in torn out tents, mm, under the in varying conditions of weather, and we were just concentrating on imparting education to our children. That too, that kind of education with which they can just live some livelihood, and with the grace of Mother Goddess, and whatever we starved, our parents starved, but they never compromised so far as our education was concerned. Now, last 30 years, it consumed our life. 3 decades, the entire time was consumed in this survival, process of survival, whether we will survive or not. You have just, it's now high time that we concentrate on the revival of a renaissance or cultural structure, ritual structure, religious structure, and we are doing it. But the way, the support, the infrastructure which we should have, it's not possible. We are having here and there some, I should say, rays of hope, but as a community, it's quite difficult. We are trying to come out of it. We are trying to come out of it, and we
No, but
expect.
like you mentioned, the priorities. That's what I keep hearing, speaker after speaker mentioning about that. It's really very painful and very unfortunate. Priorities have changed, and your priorities are totally different. But the reason I asked you is this tradition has to be continued, and most Kashmiris would like to pursue all those things that were lost. So, do you think it is likely in the near future that once everything gets settled, all this could be revived?
Till date, we have not compromised so far as our ritual structure is concerned. We have kept our rituals, our traditions intact. Whether it is just a simple birthday puja, because on every birthday, as per our Hindu calendar, we celebrate our birthdays and we perform a particular puja, birthday puja, Saptarishi puja on that day, till up to the Lagna, marriage ceremony, Yagnopavid ceremony. The biggest ceremonies are Panchadev Yagya or Vishnu Panchayatana. We are trying to do it. We are performing yajnas, we are doing everything. But for its continuation, we are the first generation. Myself, my parents, I should say that it is the first generation of sufferers. Now, say my son, if we are not, as a state, we are not able to settle these children in one place, their exodus will take such a nasty move that it will be quite difficult for them to continue with their cultural movings, cultural structures, ritual structures, because it's a small community of 5 lakh people. If we are scattered throughout the length and breadth of this world or this country, it will be quite difficult for us to survive as a community. The biggest threat is that we should be our uh, one place settlement, our concentration. That's very much important, wherein we can continue our religious practices. As on date, we have not killed them. As on date, nothing has vanished, despite of making all the efforts by the people to annihilate this community. They have not been able to do it. Eh? But One thing which is the imminent danger, that is, if we remain scattered, we are ought to finish. We are ought to. I pray to people. The conscience of this nation, that it's not. We are not. It's not a community. It is Indianness. It is Indianness. It is. I should say it's India. Kashmir is India. Kashmiri Hindu is India. It is Indianness in Kashmir. If we want that this Indianness, this Sanatana should live and exist on the land of Kashmir, then our resettlement at a one place is very, very important and it's imperative for them. Otherwise, if we do some patchwork here and there, that's not going to serve. That's not going to serve. Let me be very, very frank with you. That's not going to serve the purpose. Because you see what happened during last days. Somebody was killed and there's a fear psychosis. Maybe everybody will not be killed. But if you are living under fear psychosis, how long can you continue with your culture, your ritual structure? These things are not to be done. These things can never be continued in a state of fear. And it's evident that it's a fear. We are all under threat. We live simply at the mercy of others. They want us to live. If they want to kill us, they will kill us. So in this kind of environment, it's not expected that we will flourish.
You see the observation, one of our viewers has written prayers to Mother Lalita for the peaceful settlement of the Pandits in their homeland, Kashmir. I mean, that's all we can do. We can do prayers. As you know, Kanjimat has been involved in Shankar Jayanti from 2010, Shankara Hills. I've been there a couple of times. And even if you talk about, a lot of viewers are thinking of religious tourism, visiting the temples, but as you mentioned, the security aspect. Even just last week, you mentioned about the incident there. So I don't know how that's going to be resolved, but hopefully things will change soon.
Let us hope so. Because this
So if
here and there some
yes,
cosmetic work is not going to work. That's not. You see, this is happening once we are having a congenial political atmosphere. Nobody knows what will happen in future. So it is subject to something. If we all want, if we as a nation want that India should exist there, and for that we have to think in a different fashion. And that we have just placed, as a community, we have placed before the entire world our option. And I think that is the only viable option. There's no other option. Because
but do you think change is happening now slowly? Some changes are taking place. Let's forget that killing for a while, the terrorist activities. Other than that, is government moving in the right direction, trying to be helpful and trying to do something?
it is better for me to remain mum. I am not satisfied the way things are going on. Just few months before, I just mentioned in my Udbodhan about Bargashaka. It was terribly damaged. And it is just tale of 6 months. So they want that it should remain. They want, once they decide that it is to be destroyed, they will destroy. Who they are, it is better known to you and me. So what have we done to change their minds? It's not that some political vested interest is working there and we will say that it is change. It's not a change. It's not a change. It's not a change.
You know, like you mentioned in your speech, they allow us to worship.
Yes.
Somewhere I think you mentioned.
I don't know whether you have seen that. You must Google that. Kali worship done by Kashmiri Pandits. We had a mammoth, as per our scriptures, we had a mammoth structure of Kali. It was a big 4-story temple. And they have just destroyed that temple and erected a masjid which is known and globally known as Shahimdan Masjid. And there's a simple stone where there is a small tree, and they allow us to worship there. Because why I used allowed, for 200 years they never allowed us. After somebody's intervention, they allowed us. Okay, if you are now adamant that you do this worship, Kali worship there. So this is the same case everywhere. Same cases everywhere. Last is just a few years before, there was a Vishnupad in Kamsarnag. They erected a structure there. No, it's not Kamsarnag. It is a reality. They ensured our total annihilation. And at my personal level, I am sorry for my people. My people, I say, for my state, for my nation. The way my people, my nation should have reacted. It has not behaved and it has not reacted in the fashion as it was expected. Maybe our condition, the condition of state would have been entirely different. It's a frank talking with you. We have not. It took us long 20 to 25 years to make people understand what actually happened, what has actually happened to we people, to this part of our land. Now people are much better in a situation to understand it with Kashmir file. So it is tip of an iceberg. Much beyond it has happened. Much every household is having a story. So I know my story, how our cattle were weeping once we left them untied and left them. Our cows were weeping, mm, tears were dropping, because cow is a sensitive animal. She pursued us for miles together and she was weeping. So these, not to talk of human beings, our people, just for nothing they were killed. What was their sin? Their sin was that Indianness. So it took us long 30 years to make people understand what actually has happened. It's inhuman what they did. And for a crime which is not known to us, what was our dosha? Even journalists, the main stream politicians, they were so, their role was so pathetic towards we people. It's only the blessings of our mother goddess which made us to survive. And this is the biggest hope, that Mother Goddess is with us. We will not die. Nobody on earth can annihilate us. We are believers of Mother Sharika. She will protect us. She will protect this nation with the blessings of Sri Shankaracharya Bhagavan. We will. Great Saintess Lala has just in her walk said, Asi Tashi Asav Asi Kur Dor Patavat, Shivas Surn Zuntai Maran Ravas Surn Adagat. We are, we were, and we will remain. So this is the biggest hope that we are having. To be frank enough with you, nothing substantial is seeming to me is happening so far as our survival and our settlement is concerned. By just giving few jobs, that's not going to give us life. That's not going to settle Kashmiri Pandits. That's not going to settle India in Kashmir. Because from last 3 decades, you must have seen it is just dying down for some time, then it's just coming up, then it's like this. It's a graph. Some at times it declines, at times it's on high. It's so there is some lacuna. There is some lacuna. And it's on my there's I'm a spiritualist basically, but had things shaping well, then something concrete should have been there. By just repairing temples and making this religious tourism, it's not going to survive. It's not
No, but
going to
at
serve
least
the
now,
purpose.
compared to some 10 years ago, today there is an awareness and people are talking about it, and more exchanges happening. People like you are coming out, at least you are able to reach people now to talk about it. People
That's
in the south and everywhere didn't know anything about in the last 30 years what happened. Now at least we're able to see all this.
that that is the biggest solace. That is the biggest solace. Thanks to you people, thanks to people like you, your efforts, that we are being heard. We are being given platform. We are being given, you people are providing us a chance to express ourselves. There's a lot of change so far as this thing is concerned. We are, at least now, we can loudly weep.
Loudly weep.
Otherwise, the ecosystem of this nation was so that we were not able to weep. We were. I have myself faced that in India, Indian Habitat Center at Delhi. There was a program organized by some vested interests against we people. There I was along with my sister, Dr. Kamako. We had gone there, and we were virtually thrown out. Nobody just heard us. We were just telling them, okay, it is one version, please listen to us, please give us some time. And because they were knowing that they are having that, we were having such a brazen truth with us that they could not bear that. So situation is entirely different now. At least we are able to shout and weep loudly. This is giving us satisfaction. Credit goes to you people. We are thankful to you people that actually.
Yeah, you can't have a different narrative all the time. Now, like you mentioned, truth will have to come out, and it's slowly coming out. I'm sure people are watching, and concerned people are watching and heard what you mentioned, and I'm sure something is happening. Let's hope so.
Yes, definitely. Narrative has
Thank you so much,
changed.
sir. We'll stay in touch, and maybe we'll have you sometime again soon, as we are completing our first year in August.
Thank you. Dhanyavad. Nanandu
Dhanyavad ji.
sadhaka sarve vinashyanto vidushaka avastam shambhavim nastu prasannasto guru sada. Namaskar. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad ji.
Thank you.
We thank you, all our viewers in India and abroad, joining us every Saturday. Today was our 41st series. We hope to continue beyond August. We have more and more speakers joining us. Please stay tuned every Saturday, 7 to 8 p.m. Till we meet again. Jai Jai Shankara.